if that's okay with you. Okay.
Yeah,
The,
definitely.
yeah, the idea of this podcast is I want it to come across conversation. Um,
Perfect.
and I know everyone says that, but the whole thing I want to focus on is just social media success stories. So kind of taking people like yourself who do social media really well, and reflect on things like, Sam does it well. And I think we do it well as, too. So I basically just want to talk to you and walk you through what you're doing, why you're doing it, and has it been successful? I
Definitely.
think that's super valuable to people who there's a lot of people out there who are still scared to just take that first step and, get going.
Yeah, man. So honestly, I am appreciative that you think that I am successful on social media. Coming from you, that's huge. So that means a lot.
For sure. No, absolutely. So let me I'll give you the intro, or I'll introduce you here and as best I can. So really quick, Jim Murray, the head man in charge at Lyon Property Management. And you might have heard of him from, he's the host of the Cash Flow Kings podcast, which I love. I subscribe. So
Awesome.
thanks for doing this, man.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. And how's that introduction? Anything else that we're missing here? Any other side things you got going on?
So my like formal introduction, I selfishly have a podcast host. But the formal introduction is that I am a millennial house hacker turned corporate dropout. Co-own a property management company, just under 600 doors now. It's a wild ride every day, particularly with some of the stuff we're going through now. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. The corporate life just wasn't a good fit for me. Helped me get in a good financial spot, and I was able to leverage real estate to escape that corporate 9 to 5 grind.
Yeah, and I think we met a couple of years ago, as you were really starting to fire on all cylinders with the
Yeah.
property management stuff, right? So it's fun to watch you grow, and that's one of the reasons why I love social media is I get to keep up with my friends like you. So
It's cool, man, right? It allows, so I always fall back on like you're going to be a product of the 5 people that you surround yourself with, but we can actually extend that with social media, and we can take kind of pieces from each person.
yeah, yeah, and you get to share your experience. So tell me right now, and kind of share with the audience, what are you doing on social media? Give me some background as far as what you're trying to do, what your process is, and where you've been successful.
Yeah, so right now, my strategy is really like the Gary V $80 strategy. So like as people post good content, I'll either share it or I'll comment or try and create some banter. Um, but I think the biggest thing in terms of my strategy right now is sticking to the core. So I don't know whether it was Gary Vee or Andy Frisella, but they talk about how you need that like one primary thing that people like know, like, hey, this is what Jim posts all the time. And then you have those 2 secondary things. So for me, like I kind of have like 2 primaries between um, real estate and entrepreneurship. And then my secondary is really family. So I like to post stories about my little guy who's 3.5 years old. Um, but I think it's really important for people to know who you are. So if you can kind of, and I know it's kind of limiting. I mean, there's some other stuff that I'll share on social media to DM to like my friends and stuff, but you really have to be cognizant of how other people perceive you. I mean, I even have some clients that follow me between Facebook and Instagram now. So you're going to be really cognizant of some of the things you share. You can't share some of the crazy stuff that may make us laugh. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's really important to pay attention to the things that you're sharing because it can further your brand.
Yep.
And a perfect example of that,
Your brand, right? That is synonymous with your brand if you're doing it right.
absolutely, absolutely. I think a lot of people get too scattered, right? So a lot of people get started in real estate and they'll be a realtor, but then they do rehabs and they maybe do 3 other things and they jump at whatever can make the money. And I get that, but you really got to make sure that your social branding is tight. I
Yeah.
think that's really important.
Yeah. And what are so for you? I know you mentioned your family. What are those things that you're really trying to emphasize on social media, and how are you doing it? I love the $80 approach where it's just basically, for those of you who don't know Gary Vaynerchuk, he's a big social media influencer and strategist, and he basically talks about commenting, liking, sharing, actually getting involved into the comments and supporting people on social media, right? I think that's pretty much the crux of it. So
Yeah.
what are those things that you're doing right now, tangibly, like whether it's video content? I know you do a podcast. You want to dive into some of those a little bit more in detail?
Yeah. So, I mean, my biggest thing is sharing the things that excite me. So, a, a good example of that is last week, there was a realtor who, honestly, in real life, I don't think that fondly of, but he produced a killer piece of content that I thought was really important. Like, it was honestly like, I'm not a very emotional person, but it was emotional to watch, and I thought that it was a good piece of content to share about where we're at.
Yeah.
Um, so I did that. One, it's a realtor, so it's kind of in that real estate brand. But two is about like coming together uh, as Rhode Islanders, right? Because I'm from Rhode Island, I grew up here. Um, but I think that's important with all the things that we're battling right now. Like coming together, it should be a key theme of what we're trying to approach. So one, it's like being present in terms of what we're going towards. So maybe I can connect with someone who feels that we should also be there. But then it's also kind of stems back to what I always try to share in real estate.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And kind of, I think that like perfectly sums up what your strategy is in real life and on social media. It's try to like really encapsulate your brand, who you are as a person, as a business, and just put that content out there for people and entertain them and keep, provide them value that way. Is that a pretty much fair assessment of what you're basically trying to do out there?
Yeah, and honestly, like being an entrepreneur is lonely, right? So I like to support other entrepreneurs too. So maybe sometimes I won't share their content, but I'll send them a DM and be like, "Hey, that was a really good thought." I mean, a perfect example of that is somebody that you're close with, in
Yeah.
Emilio Desperado. We go back and forth on Instagram all the time. So he's getting more aggressive in the stuff that he posts, and I'm really enjoying it because I'm like, oh, this is some of the stuff that I hope that one day I develop the voice to kind of say it in the right light, and I think he is doing that. So I think that's important too. Like find people in your industry, and not only $80 strategy and commenting and liking, but jump into the DMs and talk with them. These are all real people that put their pants on one leg at a time, just like the rest of us.
Oh my god, and it's so true because I think it's like freeing to watch people actually start to do that more because like I've been noticing with the coronavirus shutdown that people are like, I can't sell like I used to do, I can't meet up with people, and they're like, so what I'm trying to do is like send messages and it's working, and I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, dude, like you could do that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like yes, yes.
yeah,
I try and separate the social media marketing versus social media selling. I
yeah,
believe that set like I always because I provide a service, I want to kind of make a structure and clearly isolate the difference between social media marketing and social media selling. And
right.
and now people are realizing like, oh, I can just, as opposed to knocking on a door, I can send a DM or something like that. And it's fun to watch that people are kind of like get like the light bulbs finally clicking. So it's good to see.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
So my next question is, so you had obviously a really interesting transition into entrepreneurship, and when you got Lyon started off the ground and then into Cashflow Kings. But what kind of came first? Because I think you're a little bit different than most. Most people I talk to are, I had the business, I created the business, and then I finally made this dive into social media, or I made the commitment into social media because I felt like it was important. But was yours kind of, and I don't want to like lead you to one.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
no, it's
kind
kind of
of
at the same time. Yeah, so if we go back, and honestly, I think I've changed my handle on Instagram twice, which it's not changing. I finally kind of found my idea of who I want to be. Um, but I kind of started at the same time. I would post like a lot of motivational stuff, and then you evolve, like you find your voice on social media, and I think that's important because a lot of people are nervous to post, but it's really important to document your journey. Like I see stuff coming up on Facebook now from 6 years ago, and I was like, damn, I've been doing it for that long.
I saw that.
Um,
I saw some of those from you.
but
And
like one, it shows people like, hey, I've been around for a while, but two, like documenting the process.
now you look
Um,
back and it's like, oh, I'm glad I did that.
I think it's really important to find your voice. So obviously, kind of take an educated approach and calculated approach in terms of what you're going to share, and hopefully it goes with your mission of what you're trying to accomplish. But I think it's really important to put it out there because I can remember, I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was like, hey, listen, this content you're posting is good, but I know you're going to post stuff that's levels better. And I'm really excited to watch as your voice grows on social media.
Yeah, I think that's fair for everyone. It's like you grow into it, you get more comfortable, you start putting out better stuff. What was, I guess, the impetus for you getting out there on social media? Because it's kind of odd. Like for someone like you or I, we both knew it was important. But
Right.
why? Like, what really sparked you saying, like, "Oh no, this like I have to do this. It's part of my business." But where did that come from? What was that mindset? What got you into using it as like a fundamental, like core tenet of your business?
Yeah. So my big thing, so I think like my kind of coming of age, for lack of a better term, would be the Lyon Chronicles. Um, and a lot of good things have come out of that. So a lot of the things that I took for granted in terms of the things that I know as a real estate investor and as a property manager, like I kind of kept that kind of close to my chest and didn't share it. And I realized that social media is a great free marketing tool for me to take, I don't know, less than 10 minutes one time per week to shoot a quick video and share the knowledge that we know. That was a tremendous pickup for us. So we had invested in other marketing previously in like pay per lead via Thumbtack and I think it was all property management. And it could range from like $5 a lead to $150 a lead. And honestly, like you don't know what you're going to get. It could be really hot or really cold. So it was more of like, I wanted to invert the universe. So I'm a huge believer in The Secret. And with The Secret, you wake up every day, you set that antenna, and that's what the universe attracts to you. So in the beginning, when you get started, you got to reach out and kind of, you have that magnet and you're kind of bringing people towards you so you can have conversations. But what my social media marketing led to was it allowed me to invert the universe where now people come to me with these ideas or opportunities. And the coolest part was I knew that we were producing a ton of value. At one point when my partner, Chris, who actually did not support the videos in the beginning, he's like, I think it's a waste of time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He's like, I think it's a waste of time. I don't really think it's going to get us anywhere. And 4 months in, he goes out to a showing at a multifamily. He gets there before me. The guy that's at the showing, I've never met before. I was friends with him on Facebook. He would comment on my videos every once in a while. Chris shows up and he's like, hey, Jeff, I'm Chris from Lyon. And he goes, oh, yeah, you work with Jimmy, right? And Chris is like, yeah. So I show up and I'm like, hey, Jeff, what's going on? Nice to finally meet you. And then we leave and Chris is like, you've never met that guy before? I'm like, no, but he consumes the content. And the reason why we got this call is because he follows the content on social media.
Yep.
Shoot. I mean, it's gotten to the point recently with the podcast where someone who listens to our podcast sent me a DM on like a Friday afternoon of an off-market opportunity to buy a 3-family. We just flipped that 3-family, made 100,000 in 4 months from producing content, right?
And like that's the cost, right? It's like no cost or no, opportunity. It makes it worth it. One deal like that makes it worth it. So it's like, it's so validating to hear that, right?
Right. And that, so when I say that, that's not to impress people, but that's to impress on them that they have the ability to do it too. But that isn't, 1 month or a couple of podcasts. That's consistently putting out content to show people that what you do and where you can provide value.
Yeah, I think to kind of crystallize that, it's not, you're not just investing in, a social media program or a single campaign or running one ad. It's the value of adding social media to your business and making it a core tenant. Just like, you pay your mortgage, you pay your light bill, and you invest your time into doing social media right. Strategy,
Absolutely.
making it worthwhile. And I think that's when you start to see the true ROI of like social media long term.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So any tips or advice to the person who's hesitant to actually do that? Who's I know it's valuable, but I either don't know enough or don't want to do it, or what would you give that person for advice?
You only have to help one person, right? So in the beginning, if you're hesitant, you're worried about what everybody's going to think. And honestly, it doesn't matter. And it took me a while to get there. Don't be concerned about what other people are going to say, because I guarantee you there's going to be one person that watches your story on Instagram or reads your post on Facebook that it has an impact on. And a lot of times they're not going to react to your post. They're not going to like it. They're not going to leave a comment. But 6 months later, you'll bump into them in a room and they'll be like, hey, listen, I remember when you posted this and that was incredible.
Yeah. They don't remember. So, they don't remember the one that you were insecure about or the one where you stuttered, right? That's not
right.
how.
But honestly, so I like what you just said on stuttering. Like a lot of my Lyon Chronicles videos, those are all one take. Maybe there were a couple that were like 2 or 3 takes if I really screwed up. People want to see the realness. If it's over practiced or over rehearsed, like people don't like that.
Exactly. And to kind of put that into context, I had a client a couple months ago. She was we finally got to a place where she's like, I understand it. I want to do video content. I want to get this information out there. We shot the video, we edited it up, we got this playlist ready to go. And then e-brake, like ripping the e-brake and the last, but wait. And then there was, what are people going to think? Like, it doesn't necessarily make sense. Like, what if people don't understand what I'm going for? I don't like the background. And it was like, no, we were so close, but I have to do a better job. And I learned that I need to continue to to let them know it's about the long term. And
That's
people,
it.
if they look too close at the fine details, that's not who you're looking for anyways. That little granular, did I stutter? Can they see the coffee cup in the background? It's not, like Game of Thrones style. You don't have to worry about that long term, right? Would you agree with that? I think that's a fair point.
So honestly, like I, one of the first podcasts I recorded on, it's a guy who's like very sought after in the real estate world. His name is Joe Fearless. Like he is an OG, an original gangster. I had a crummy interview 2 days ago. You can go on my Facebook wall. Somebody was like, "Hey, just listen to Jimmy's podcast with Joe Fearless, and this was awesome." And I was like, "Oh wow, I hated that one. I thought that I was terrible." And here's somebody like, I think I recorded that almost a year ago, and here's someone posting it on my wall being like, "Thanks for producing this content."
Yeah.
So you're just gonna do it.
Exactly. It's like putting money in the bank. Some months you can put in more than others. Some posts are going to be better than others, but it's still all valuable. As long as you're not doing something real bad, it's worthwhile.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yep.
okay. Anything else as far as like epic fails? Like you kind of just said that with Joe Fearless, Joe Exotic, whatever. Any other ones where you really didn't like, or total failures, or things, it sounds like the paper lead thing didn't work out, but anything like that?
I would say, I mean, unless it's like your realm, I would say like don't get too political. Don't get into the fray on some BS there. Um, that that would be the big thing that I shy away from.
Yeah.
Um, try and stick to what you're passionate about and what you're trying to accomplish. Because if you start getting into some of that other stuff, I've seen some local entrepreneurs do that, where they kind of start throwing stuff over the fence and kind of stirring the pot. I would
Yeah.
say stay away from that stuff. Kind of stick to what you're good at, and stick to what you're passionate about.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's there's enough good stuff to talk about to keep it positive, to bring people value, as opposed
Huge.
to just going straight for the outrage. It's not worth it. Even if you have, I don't care what people think, I'm going to be me. That's fine. But like, I want to be a net positive influence on social media and help people.
Right.
I value being net positive more so than, an influencer for the wrong reason.
So you helped me reformulate that thought. You see people all the time across industries complain about a bad client, right? You can't be doing that on social media. You can talk about how you had a challenging client and helped redirect them in order to provide the value that you want to bring to the market, but you should never be complaining on social media. I mean, I'm trying to think of how direct I want to get right now. There is, I've been,
Always at it.
yeah, I know. Well, we can talk about that one offline too, but I've seen some established players in a local industry, and they were frustrated that somebody younger came in and was doing it better. And they took to Facebook complaining, and the stories that they were spreading were not true. Because I talked to the other person directly because I was like interested in this fray. And truth of the matter is, like, if you're not bringing the right value to the market and your clients decide to go elsewhere, like that's on you. That has nothing to do with that other person. The other person's out hustling.
Yep.
And if their phone happens to ring from your client who's not happy with you, that comes back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally
So
understand. And isn't that, it's funny because people are always saying, oh, things have changed so much, things are different because of social media. But it's like, it's the same exact ball game, same exact principles of business, but now it's on a different medium. You know what I mean? Just like back in the day when, if you're a suit tailor and then the big guy opens up down the street, if
yeah,
you put out a business for it's fair or whatever, it's the free economy of just who's doing the best, who's providing the most value. And that's why I try and like make sure people don't get woe is me, because it's not,
right.
at the end of the day, I'm always looking for solutions for my prospects, for my potential clients. And the solution is never to like old man screams at cloud. You know what I mean? We want to like what, we can't do everything as good as the young guy, but maybe we can do something on social media as good as the young guy, and then also provide more, education or experience or whatever it is.
Well,
So I totally agree.
think about it. Like people are like, oh, I can collect my own rents. Well, we do a lot more than just collecting rents, right? But I'm not the first property manager. I'm not going to be the last one. What I do on, you know, a high level is very elementary. But when you get that one bad tenant or that one major issue in your house, that's where we're going to provide that value.
Yeah.
And I have confidence in that. And like, so you can always go somewhere and find it cheaper. But so now this is getting me into another thought, but find your value proposition. So I always talk about there are three things that you can provide in business, and you get to choose two out of three, and that's value, speed, and price, right?
Yes.
So if you want it fat, or sorry, quality, speed, and price. So if you want it fast and cheap, the quality probably isn't that good.
Mhm.
Or if you want it quality and speed, the price is probably high,
Yeah.
right? So businesses that focus on providing all three probably aren't going to be that successful. You want to focus on providing two,
Yeah. And
and
that's it plays on social media too. It's like,
right.
what kind of content are you going to be putting out? Is it going to be quick? You know what I mean? Like if you want high end Super Bowl videos, it's not going to be quick. You're going to have to do it, once a month, or something.
Right.
So
Yep.
that's all.
So I think that's really important for people to take into account as they start to think about their business and the type of content that they want to produce.
Jimmy, I always love our conversations, man. I think you're doing such an awesome job, and that's really all I have for you. I really appreciate you doing this. I know it's something new, a little bit different than what we've put out in the past, but I think this kind of a conversation is going to bring value to people, who maybe aren't there yet on social media, or people who just kind of want someone else's opinions. And I know you have some great thoughts, but so thank you for doing this. I appreciate it very much, man.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, let's give yourselves a plug real quick. If people want to find the Cash Flow Kings, or if they need someone to help them out with some property management, or they just want to network with you in general, where can they find you?
Absolutely. So Cashflow Kings, we are on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play. It's the Cashflow Kings. It is a green logo. If you guys want to reach out to Lyon Property Management, the website is Lyon, Lyon propertygroup.com. That's where you're going to be able to find all the information about our business, current listings, how to work with us. And if you're looking at just network, if you could give me a follow on Instagram, the handle is the Notorious CFK.
Perfect. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm going to plug you down below and stuff like that. And when this goes up, it'll be all in the comments and the caption. So thank you again, buddy. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care.